That nagging emptiness, the sense that something is profoundly missing, even when all the boxes are ticked. Is this feeling merely a modern affliction, a symptom of our disconnected age? Or is it a timeless human ache, a deep-seated yearning for something more, something real? What if the answer to this pervasive struggle was understood thousands of years ago, waiting to be rediscovered? Imagine prisoners chained in a cave since birth, facing a blank wall. Behind them, a fire burns and puppeteers walk along a low wall, casting shadows of various objects, statues of animals, people, and other things, onto the wall the prisoners face. These shadows are the only reality the prisoners have ever known. For these prisoners, the flickering shadows and the echoes of voices they hear are the sum total of their existence. They would name these shadows, discuss their properties, and even hold competitions based on who could best predict their sequence. Their entire system of knowledge and value would be built upon these ephemeral projections, believing them to be absolutely real. Plato asks us to consider what would happen if one prisoner was freed. Initially, dragged towards the fire and then out of the cave into the sunlight, he would be blinded and confused. The real objects, the fire and ultimately the sun itself, would be painful to look at. He would likely resist, wanting to return to the familiar comfort of the shadows. Gradually, as his eyes adjusted, he would begin to see the world outside the cave. First reflections, then physical objects, then the stars and moon, and finally, the sun itself. He would realize that the sun is the source of all light and life, the cause of the seasons and everything he now sees. He would understand that his former reality was a mere illusion. This liberated prisoner would pity his companions still trapped in the cave, mistaking shadows for truth. If he were to return to the cave to tell them of the real world outside, they would not believe him. His eyes, now accustomed to sunlight, would struggle to see in the darkness, making him seem clumsy and foolish. They might even try to kill him for disturbing their perceived reality. The cave, Plato explains, represents our everyday sensory world. The chains are the limitations of our unexamined beliefs and cultural conditioning. The shadows are the superficial appearances, the fleeting pleasures, and the material possessions that we often mistake for true value and purpose. Most of humanity, according to Plato, lives in this state of ignorance. This is precisely why we struggle with purpose. We are, in essence, shadow chasers. We seek fulfillment in careers, relationships, or possessions that are, in their earthly form, impermanent and subject to change. We build our identities and our sense of meaning on these shifting sands, only to find ourselves adrift when they inevitably alter or disappear. The escape from the cave symbolizes the journey of philosophical enlightenment, the process of turning the soul away from the deceptive world of senses towards the intelligible realm of truth. This journey is difficult and requires a fundamental reorientation of one's entire being, a striving for knowledge beyond mere appearances. So if the material world is but a cave of shadows, where does true reality and thus true purpose reside? Plato's answer lies in his revolutionary theory of forms. He posited that beyond our imperfect, ever-changing physical world, there exists a higher, immaterial realm of perfect and eternal archetypes, or forms. Think of it this way. In the physical world, we see many individual chairs. They come in different shapes, sizes, and materials. They are all imperfect and will eventually decay. But according to Plato, there exists a single, perfect, eternal form of chairness in the higher realm, of which all physical chairs are mere copies or imitations. Imagine a world saturated with fleeting distractions, where what seems valuable crumbles to dust. This isn't just our world. It was the world observed by one of history's greatest minds. He saw humanity captivated by illusions, chasing phantoms of fulfillment, and proposed a radical shift in perspective, a journey beyond the superficial, to uncover a purpose that endures. This concept applies not just to physical objects but, more importantly, to abstract concepts like justice, beauty, and goodness. The acts of justice we witness in the world are imperfect reflections of the perfect form of justice. The beauty we perceive in art or nature is a pale imitation of the form of beauty itself. These forms are unchanging, eternal, and more real than the physical objects that participate in them. They are grasped not by the senses, but by reason and intellect through philosophical contemplation. Our souls, Plato believed, had knowledge of these forms before incarnating in a physical body, and true learning is a process of recollection. The struggle for purpose, then, arises from our ignorance of this higher realm. We are fixated on the imperfect copies, the shadows in the cave, believing them to be the ultimate reality. We seek lasting fulfillment in things that are, by their very nature, transient and incapable of providing it. Our souls yearn for the perfection of the forms. Imagine trying to build a sturdy house using only sand. That's akin to trying to find enduring purpose solely in the material world. The forms, however, provide a solid foundation. True purpose, for Plato, involves aligning our lives with these eternal truths, striving to embody virtues like justice, wisdom, courage, and temperance, which are themselves reflections of perfect forms. The theory of forms suggests that our deepest aspirations for truth, for beauty, for goodness, are not random desires but echoes of our soul's connection to this higher reality. When we feel a profound sense of meaning, it's often because we've touched upon something that resonates with these eternal archetypes, even if we don't consciously recognize it. At the very apex of this realm of forms, Plato placed the most important form of all, the form of the good. This is the ultimate principle, the source of all other forms, and indeed, the source of all reality, truth, and intelligibility. It is like the sun in the allegory of the cave, which illuminates everything and allows us to see. The form of the good is not just an intellectual concept. It is the ultimate object of desire for the soul, the wellspring of all value and purpose. Just as the sun enables sight and sustains life in the physical world, the form of the good enables understanding and nourishes the soul in the intelligible realm. It is the final answer to the question of why. To understand the good is to understand the underlying order and purpose of the cosmos. Knowledge of the good is the highest goal of philosophy and the key to living a virtuous and eudamonic life, a life of human flourishing and true happiness. It is the ultimate orientation point for a soul seeking enduring meaning. Without an apprehension of the good, Plato argued, all other knowledge is ultimately useless. One might be skilled in various arts or sciences, but without understanding the ultimate purpose and value that the good provides, one remains, in a sense, directionless. True purpose, therefore, is found in striving to know and embody the good. So, how does one embark on this journey towards the forms and the ultimate good, thereby discovering true purpose? Plato emphasized the crucial role of education, not mere rote learning, but a transformative process of turning the soul. This involves training the intellect through disciplines like mathematics, logic, and dialectic. This ancient philosopher wasn't just offering platitudes. He provided a metaphysical blueprint, a map of reality itself, that explains why we feel so lost and, crucially, how to find our way. The key, he argued, lies not in changing our circumstances, but in changing what we perceive as truly real. What if the very nature of reality holds the secret to your purpose? Mathematics, for Plato, was particularly important as it trained the mind to think abstractly, to move beyond the sensory world to the realm of eternal, unchanging truths, like the perfect relationships between numbers and geometric figures. It was a preparation for grasping the even higher forms. Beyond intellectual training, Plato stressed the cultivation of virtue. Living a just, courageous, temperate, and wise life aligns the soul with the harmony of the forms. Virtue is not merely about following rules, but about developing a well-ordered inner state, where reason governs the appetites and emotions, reflecting the cosmic order. This journey also requires introspection and self-knowledge. Know thyself, was a Delphic maxim central to Socratic and Platonic thought. By understanding the nature of our own soul, its divine origins, and its capacity for reason, we can better direct it towards its proper end, the contemplation of truth and the good. Crucially, Plato believed that true purpose isn't found by looking outward to the material world for validation or fleeting pleasures, but by turning the soul inward and upward. It is a contemplative ascent, a philosophical way of life dedicated to the pursuit of wisdom and the highest realities. This is where lasting meaning is forged. The philosopher, having glimpsed the form of the good, has a responsibility, much like the freed prisoner, to return to the cave and help others. This doesn't mean forcing enlightenment, but rather guiding others through education and example, helping them turn their own souls towards the light of truth. For Plato, a truly purposeful life involves contributing to the well-being of the community by striving to implement justice and order, guided by an understanding of the good. The ideal state, the Callipolis described in the Republic, would be ruled by philosopher kings, those who have apprehended the forms and are best equipped to govern. This philosophical path is not about achieving a static state of perfection, but about the ongoing process of striving, learning, and becoming. Purpose is found in this very journey of orienting the soul towards the eternal, a continuous ascent towards greater understanding and virtue. It is a dynamic, lifelong engagement with the highest truths. But how does this ancient wisdom apply to our modern lives, so seemingly different from Plato's Athens? The core human dilemma remains remarkably similar. We are still bombarded by shadows, social media validation, consumer culture, fleeting trends that promise happiness but often leave us feeling empty. Plato's framework offers a powerful diagnostic tool for our contemporary malaise. Our struggle with purpose often stems from the same misidentification of shadows for substance. We chase external markers of success, believing they will grant us inner peace, only to find that the goalposts continually shift or the achievements feel hollow. The call to turn the soul is as relevant today as it was millennia ago. It invites us to critically examine the values our society promotes and to question whether they truly lead to flourishing. It encourages us to cultivate an inner life, to seek knowledge that transcends the superficial, and to connect with timeless principles of virtue and meaning. He spoke of a hidden realm, a source of all truth and beauty, of which our everyday world is but a pale imitation, a flickering shadow. Could it be that our modern anxieties, our desperate search for meaning, stem from being trapped unknowingly in a cave of our own making, mistaking these shadows for the substance of life itself? This philosopher believed so. Practices like mindfulness, deep reading of timeless texts, engaging in meaningful dialogue, and striving for ethical conduct in our daily lives can be modern expressions of this Platonic ascent. They help us to detach from the noise of the cave and to cultivate an awareness of deeper, more enduring realities. Finding purpose in a Platonic sense is not about discovering a preordained job or role, but about the quality of our inner orientation. It's about dedicating ourselves to growth, to understanding, and to contributing to the good in whatever capacity we can, guided by an aspiration towards what is true, beautiful, and just. This perspective can be liberating. It means that purpose is not something out there to be found, but something in here to be cultivated. It frees us from the tyranny of external validation and anchors our sense of meaning in the timeless pursuit of wisdom and virtue, which is always within our reach. So, if you feel a persistent lack of purpose, Plato might suggest you are looking in the wrong direction, outwards at the shadows, instead of inwards and upwards towards the light. The journey he proposes is demanding, yes, but it promises a fulfillment that the fleeting attractions of the material world can never truly offer. Plato's philosophy reminds us that the human soul has a natural orientation towards the good, a deep-seated yearning for meaning that transcends the mundane. Our modern anxieties often arise when this fundamental need is ignored or misdirected towards unsatisfying substitutes. The struggle is a sign that our soul is calling for something more. In summary, Plato's answer to the struggle for purpose is profound. We struggle because we are often captivated by illusions, mistaking the transient shadows of the material world for true reality. We seek lasting meaning where it cannot be found, in things that are impermanent and ultimately unsatisfying to the deeper needs of the soul. The path to enduring purpose, he argued, lies in a philosophical reorientation of the soul. Through education, the cultivation of virtue, introspection, and the courageous pursuit of wisdom, we can begin to turn away from the shadows and ascend towards the intelligible realm of eternal forms, a realm governed by the ultimate form of the good. This journey is not about escaping the world, but about understanding its true nature and our place within it. It's about aligning our lives with the highest truths we can apprehend, thereby infusing our actions with meaning and contributing to a more just and enlightened existence, both for ourselves and for others. Plato's insights, though ancient, offer a timeless challenge and a profound consolation. They challenge us to look beyond the superficial, to question our assumptions, and to embark on the inner journey of self-discovery and philosophical inquiry. They console us by suggesting that our deepest yearnings for meaning are not in vain. The struggle with purpose, then, may not be a curse, but a call to awaken from the slumber of the cave, to seek the light of truth, and to realize the noble potential of the human soul. It is an invitation to live a life not of quiet desperation, but of conscious, philosophical engagement with the deepest questions of existence. The path he outlined is not an easy one. It demands courage, introspection, and a willingness to question everything we take for granted. But the destination he promised was nothing less than the liberation of the soul and the discovery of an unshakable, eternal purpose. Are you ready to explore the insights of Plato and uncover why you might be looking for meaning in all the wrong places? Perhaps the answer Plato offered thousands of years ago is not just a historical artifact, but a living truth, waiting to be rediscovered and lived by each of us. The question remains, are we willing to undertake the ascent, to turn our gaze from the flickering shadows towards the enduring light of the good, and in doing so, find a purpose that truly satisfies the soul? Our guide on this journey is Plato, an Athenian philosopher living in the 4th century BCE. A student of Socrates and teacher to Aristotle, his ideas laid the very foundations of Western philosophy and spirituality. To understand his answer to the struggle for purpose, we must first step into his world, a world of intellectual ferment and profound questioning. Plato lived in a time of great societal change and political upheaval in Athens. The Peloponnesian War had ended, leaving a sense of disillusionment. The trial and execution of his mentor, Socrates, deeply affected him, reinforcing his belief that prevailing societal values were often misguided, and that a deeper, more stable source of truth and morality was urgently needed. He witnessed firsthand how easily people were swayed by rhetoric, how readily they accepted superficial appearances as reality. This observation became a cornerstone of his philosophy. The world perceived through our senses is often deceptive, a mere shadow of a truer, more permanent reality. This is not just an abstract idea. It directly relates to why we often pursue fleeting and unsatisfying goals. To illustrate this crucial point, Plato presented one of the most powerful allegories in the history of philosophy, the allegory of the cave. This story isn't just about ancient prisoners, it's about us, here and now, and our potential ignorance of what constitutes a truly meaningful existence. It's a direct metaphor for the human condition when unenlightened.